emphasis of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam on this poetry. When we go from in the mission of Karbala, you will notice that Imam Hussein used poetry, whether it was the poetry that Imam Hussein said on the plains of Karbala, that he says, "Oh my Shia, whenever you drink cold water, do not forget me." That was Imam Hussein's poetry, or Sayyida Zainab reciting the poetry, poetry after poetry. But they say the first one to recite Latam, the first one to recite Marsiya, the first person to recite and create the institution of Musiba in the institution of Karbala was Ummul Baneen, mother of Abul Fadl al Abbas. Tonight is the night of Abul Fadl al Abbas. I won't take much of your time. We're going straight to Abul Fadl. That's his night. Abul Fadl is someone who his night is not separated from his mother. Huh? You know, in the Arab community, I've just recited Majalis before Muharram, pre-recorded for those. And they specifically designate a night for Ummul Baneen and a separate night for Abul Fadl al Abbas in the 10 nights. Ummul Baneen is not to be taken lightly. My dear brothers and sisters, yesterday I told you about the verse of Surah Talaq, وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا, the end of the second verse. If you ever have difficulty in sustenance, recite that. Verse 2 and 3, all of 3 and the end of 2. وَمَن يَتَّقِ اللَّهَ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. Many people message to ask, and I'm giving the answer. That is what you recite. My dear brothers and sisters, I can't tell you. Ummul Baneen that I've seen in Europe, in Iraq, in Pakistan, in India, wherever I've been able to travel by the tawfiq of Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. This power of this amal of Bibi Ummul Baneen is so powerful that I have found people who are not even the most religious. They say that there's some power in this I don't know. I know people whose properties were locked up. I know people who weren't having children. I know people who were having exam difficulties. I know people in every domain. They said when they did this, it changed their entire life. What is it? One Fatiha dedicated to Ummul Baneen, the mother of Abul Fadl al Abbas. That when your dua is accepted, you will give a Fatiha to her. I thought long about this. Why did Allah say that Ummul Baneen, and that to a Fatiha, not finishing the Quran, not reading entire Mafatih al-Janan, not any of that. But if you just recite for her a Fatiha, Allah will accept your dua through her wasila. And then I thought about it. You see, it's connected to Abul Fadl al Abbas. Abul Fadl al Abbas, this big warrior, it's me, Imam, another son in line. On the day of Ashura, had a wish of Sakina. Abbas, we will not give you this dua in this dunya. We will not give you these two wishes and these two desires in this dunya. But up until the end of time, anyone who has a dua, we make you Babul Hawaij and the gateway to the wants and the desires, and every dua will be granted through you. But why Ummul Baneen again? Because then I read the tradition that heaven lies under the feet of the mother. The Quran says that Babul Hawaij, Abul Fadl al Abbas, his Jannah is under the feet of Ummul Baneen. Allahu Akbar, Ummul Baneen. Never forget. Why Ummul Baneen? 4 sons she had on the day of Ashura. Abbas, Ja'far, Abdullah, Usman, named after Usman ibn Mad'un. Allahu Akbar. You know, the one who has 4 sons, you would think that she has itminan in her heart. She has peace of mind in her heart. What peace of mind? That she will have someone to lift her body when she dies. Ummul Baneen had no son when she died from this world. Allahu Akbar. We are told that Ummul Baneen is that person who recited the Marsiyas in Jannatul Baqi. She would revive the memory. And through, poetry after poetry you will hear in honor in the verses of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam, in honor of them. In fact, when the news reached Medina, we are told that the Imam alayhimus salam, Imam Sajjad, he calls Bishr or Bashir. There's a pronunciation difference according to the scholars. Nonetheless, they invite him. Imam Sajjad says, I heard that your father was a poet. He says, yes. Do you also recite poetry? He says, yes. He says, okay, very well. I want you to go and gather the people of Medina and tell them that in your poetic verses that Hussein has been killed. My father has been killed. The news has not reached Medina. We need to get the news there. At that point in time, Bishr, he gathers the people and he stands in front of the people and he says what? He says, Ya ahla Yathrib, la maqama lahu biha. Ya ahla Yathrib, la maqama lahum biha. Karbala, that O people of Yathrib, this place, this territory, this environment is nowhere to live anymore. Why? Because Hussein, the one who was the inhabitor of Medina, the light and shining bright star of Medina, he's no longer in Medina. Poetry after poetry, we're told, is narrated in honor of the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. My dear brothers and sisters, that day comes, that fateful day. Abul Fadl al-Abbas, the day before Ashura, we're told that Shimr bin Diljoshin sends a message. What message does he send? He said, his brothers, I offer them amnesty. I want them to come speak. They sent the message. Abul Fadl al-Abbas hears it. Imam Hussein is there. What is the message? The message is, he wants to speak to Abbas. Why? So I don't want to speak anything to him because my Mawla, my master is here. I follow his orders. That's it. Abu Salih al-Muti'u lillahi wa li rasulih wa li amir al-mu'mineen. That's what the ziyarah says of Abul Fadl al-Abbas. My dear brothers and sisters, never forget this. If you ever have the most difficult and you have no solution, recite this dua 133 times. Ya kashif al-karbi ikshif karbi bihaqqi akhik al-Husayn. 133 times. Your dua is not accepted, you call Abul Fadl al-Abbas. He says at that point in time, he said, I don't want to speak to him. Imam Hussein says, speak to him. He's your blood relative and distantly, but he's your relative. Speak to him. So Shimr, what do you want? By the way, Shimr is that person who was fighting with Ali ibn Abi Talib in Siffin on the side of Ali ibn Abi Talib. Notice how times change, how people change. You want to make sure your final breath is on the right path. You amnesty. You can come to our side. We won't do anything to you. We won't fight you because you're a blood relative. He says, you offer me amnesty? Abbas, Jalal, he gets upset. You offer me amnesty? You offer no amnesty to the son of Fatima al-Zahra? The audacity. Who's Abbas? The poet says, Chunli khayal ne jo azal mein Ali ki ayn, be bizate rasool ki ismat ka zayb o zain, alhamd ke alif ka sarapa dilon ka chain, वन्नास की ये सीन ये नुत्क़े दिले हुसैन, हर हर्फ कायनात का अक्कास बन गया, हर हर्फ कायनात का अक्कास बन गया, देखा जो गौर करके तो अब्बास बन गया. This is Abul Fadl al-Abbas. He says, tomorrow let day break, you'll see the battle that I fight. He turned around and went back. The day broke. One after the other, the companions of Sayyid al-Shuhada go. They go one after the other, one after the other. Abul Fadl al-Abbas is looking for permission. He's seeking permission. Sayyid al-Shuhada doesn't give him permission. When the permission is not granted, we are told that Sayyid al-Shuhada doesn't give him the permission. Abul Fadl al-Abbas, he's trying to figure out, how can I get permission? He hears a cry that emanates from the tents. What's the cry? Al-Atash, Al-Atash, Al-Atash. That in the camps of Bint al-Hussein, he goes to Bibi Sakina. He says that, can you please bring me your mashk, the water skin, bring it for me. And she brings the mashk. Imam Hussein alayhi salam, he sees that Abul Fadl al-Abbas is coming near him. When Abul Fadl al-Abbas is coming near him, at that point Abul Fadl al-Abbas says, my Mawla, my master, allow me that at least I can take and bring the water for the children. Imam finally gives Abbas the permission He says, Abbas, you are the standard bearer of my army. You are the flag bearer of my army. That whenever the enemy sees you, they know that the army is still there. Abbas says a line that breaks the heart. He says, my Mawla, my master, Sayyid al-Shuhada, where is that army of which I am? Ajrukum Allah, everyone's gone towards the battlefield. Imam says, very well, Abbas. He takes the spear, he breaks it, and he gives it to him. It is as if Abbas is saying, Inna lillah, because that dua that Abbas had was to go and defeat the enemy. The Imam gives him the dull end of the spear. Abbas takes the mashk, he takes the broken spear, he goes towards the watcher, he fights the enemy back, he goes he fills the mashk, he fills the water. Enemy is watching, history is watching. What will happen? Abbas, he holds this water in his hands and he says, Ya nafs, min ba'dil Hussein ihuni. And he throws the water back towards the Furat. That, oh, my soul, Abbas, you will drink while your master is thirsty. He throws the water back. The poet says, Shikaste aab ka itihas लिख दिया जाए, इतिहास meaning history, शिकस्ते आपका इतिहास लिख दिया, प्यास लिख दिया जाए, शिकस्ते आपका इतिहास लिख दिया जाए, कि हर वरक पर फकत प्यास लिख दिया जाए, और सरे गुरूर उठाने लगी हैं फिर मौजें, चलो फुरात पे अब्बास लिख दिया जाए. The poet said that when it came to the thirst of Abbas, he was so strong that whenever the water, when he's proceeding back towards the Abbas, it falls towards the ground. He moves his hands, the mashka towards the other hand. Sakina is in the tents. Ajrukum Allah. Tonight is the night to give your tears for Sayyid al-Shuhada, for his brother Abu Abdullah, for his brother Abu Fadl Abbas. Why? If you have a hajat, tonight is your night. I've seen the miracles, you've seen the miracles of Abu Fadl Abbas. Tonight's his night. He hand. Sakina is looking from the distance. When the children are around Sakina, you can see the flag in the distance. He's bringing the water. Don't worry, I'll give you all water. Abbas is trying to get back to the tent. Take strike for his left arm. The left arm of Abu Fadl Abbas falls towards the ground. He takes the water skin. He puts it in his mouth. He says, oh horse, just get me to the tents. Ajrukum Allah, Ajrukum Allah, Ajrukum Allah. We're told at that point in time that Abu Fadl Abbas, he is swaying back and forth on his horse. When what happens? An archer takes aim. He takes aim for the face of Abu Fadl Abbas. They say that the arrow, it pierced through the water skin and it pierced the eye of Abu Fadl Abbas. The water spilt out. It spilt out from Abu Fadl Abbas, from the mashka of Sakina, and it began to flow. It was as if the soul of Abu Fadl Abbas was in the mashka of Sakina. He says, oh horse, do not take me back to the tents. At that point in time, the enemy began to strike Abu Fadl Abbas. They struck him left and they struck him right. At that point, Imam, he runs towards Abu Fadl Abbas. Ajrukum Allah. When he runs towards Abu Fadl Abbas, we're told that the enemy, Imam Hussein, fights them left and right. He fights them away. He gets towards Abu Fadl Abbas, Abu Fadl, who fell towards the ground. Ajrukum Allah. Imam al Hussein, he tried to put the head of Abu Fadl Abbas in his lap. Abu Fadl Abbas, he moves his head. He did this again. Imam Hussein puts the head again in his lap. The second time, he moves his head. The third time, Abu al-Fadl Abbas moves his head again. He says, Abbas, why do you move your head? He says, Sayyidu Shuhada, right now, I have my head. It's your lap. But I'm thinking that in a few moments, you will be there. Who is there for you to put your head in their lap? Ajrukum ala Allah. Ajrukum ala Allah. Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. It's his final moments. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. He's looking at his brother, Qamaru Bani Hashim, the moon of Banu Hashim, in the moon, in Banu Hashim, which everyone is in the moon. Every individual is a moon. We're told at that point that he says, my brother, he says, Imam Hussein says, my brother Abbas, speak to me. He says, my Mawla, my me a wish. He says, Abbas, wish. He says, do not take my body back to the tents. He says, why? He says, because I promised Sakina water. I wasn't able to get her water. Don't take me back to the tents. Bury me by the Furat. Ajrukum ala Allah. Ajrukum ala Allah. Who knows who has next year? I'm concluding in a brief moment. At that point, he says, Abbas, what's the other dua? What's the other wish that you have? What do you want? He says, Sayyidi wa Mawlai. When I came into this world, the first person that I saw was you. I have one wish, that the last person I see is also you. He says, Abbas, I will grant you this. Hold on a moment, but I have a wish as well. He says, what is it, Mawla? Tell me before my breath leaves me. He says, Abbas, you have never called me brother. Call me brother one time. Abbas calls him brother. At that moment, he goes back to the wish of Abbas. Abbas said that I want to see your final view. Abbas, why don't you look at your master? The response would come from Abbas that there is an arrow in my eye. There is blood in my eye. My master, Sayyidu Shuhada, I wouldn't even bother you for this, but I don't have any hands that I can remove in myself. Ajrukum ala Allah. Ajrukum ala Allah. They say that there was a Zakir who was reciting the Majlis of Abbas. When he was reciting the Majlis of Abbas, he recited the Maqtal, and he said that Abbas's hands were cut. Abbas had an arrow in his eye. He was not able to get the water to the tents. At that night, we are told that Abbas came in his dream. When Abbas came to his dream, we are told at that very moment, he says, oh Zakir, why don't you recite my musibah? He said, I tell them your musibah, Abu al-Fadl. I tell them about your hands. I tell them about the arrow. He says, you don't tell them about how I fell from the horse. He says, what is it? He says, whenever someone falls from a horse, they have their hands to support them. Oh Zakir, I didn't have any hands. There was an arrow in my eye. I fell towards the ground. I had no support. It was the arrow. It went through my eye. अजरुकुम अल्लाह अजरुकुम अल्लाह रिवायतें कहती हैं जब मदीने में खबर पहुंची उम्मुल बनीन तक कुतिल अल हुसैन बिकरबला बशीर कहता है हुसैन ज़िबाह कर दिए गए उम्मुल बनीन बशीर के पास आती हैं कहती हैं कि क्या कहा उसने देखा कि उम्मुल बनीन है वो कहा कि खुदा आपको अब्दुल्लाह का अजर दे उन्होंने कहा मैंने अब्दुल्ला का नहीं पूछा हुसैन का बता फिर उन्होंने कहा कि अल्लाह आपको उस्मान का अजर दे जाफर का अजर दे हत्ता के कह दिया कि कमर बनी हाशिम का अजर दे उम्मुल बनीन ने कहा कि मैंने उनका नहीं पूछा हुसैन का बता क़ुतिल अल हुसैन बिकरबला अजरुकुम अल्लाह आखिरी रिवायत कहते हैं कि बीबी उम्मुल बनीन जन्नतुल बकी जाती थी और जन्नतुल बकी में 4 कब्रें बनाती थी एक अब्दुल्ला एक जाफर एक उस्मान एक अब्बास और फिर सारे मिटा देती और कहती वाह हुसैना आखिरी जुमला बीबी ने कहा دفاع کرنا. مگر ایک خیال ہے عباس، جب تم گھوڑے سے گرے میں سنتی ہوں تمہارے ہاتھ سلامت نہیں تھے. اے عباس بس اتنا بتا دو، بس اتنا بتا دو، یا پہلے چہرہ لگا زمین کو یا سینہ لگا. میں 10 بستہ کہوں گا بیوی ام البنین. نہ سینہ لگا نہ چہرہ لگا، پہلے تیر لگا پھر چہرہ لگا. صلی اللہ علیہ یا رسول اللہ، صلی اللہ علیہ یا امیر المؤمنین، صلی اللہ علیہ یا فاطمة الزہراء سیدۃ النساء العالمین، صلی اللہ علیہ یا حسن المجتبى. السلام علی الحسین وعلى علي بن الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب الحسين، خصوصا سيدي ومولاي أبا الفضل العباس ابن أمير المؤمنين. Ya Allah, we ask you, all those who are gathered here by Bab al-Hawaj, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas, who was not able to get his 2 du'as answered in this dunya, grant anyone who has a hajat in this night. By Ya Kashif al-Karbi an wajh al-Husayn, اكشف كربي بحق أخيك الحسين. Anyone who has any will, any wish, in rizq, in health, in any aspect, grant them this dua. Ya Allah, hasten the reappearance of Imam Sahib al-Asr Zaman. Get rid of this virus and this pandemic. By Bab al-Hawaj, Abu al-Fadl al-Abbas. Hasten the reappearance of the Imam and allow us to be his ansar when he returns. Matam Hussein, Ya Hussein, Ya Abbas, Ya Hussein, Ya Abbas.
ہاتھوں میں لیے خالی کوزہ عباس سکینہ روتی ہے، اب تک ہے نظر سوئے دریا. عباس سکینہ روتی ہے، دیکھو تو ترائی سے اٹھ کر پتھرائی ہوئی سہمی سی نظر، بے آس نہ ہو جا یہ دکھیا. عباس سکینہ روتی ہے، کھائے ہے تماچے ظالم کے معصوم نے ننھے گالوں پر، کھائے ہے تماچے ظالم کے معصوم نے ننھے گالوں پر. اس نیند سے چونکو بہر خدا، عباس سکینہ روتی ہے، عباس سکینہ روتی ہے. عزادارو, don't let these tears stop tonight, as these are those tears that are going to be our salvation with the wasila of Bibi Fatima Zahra. عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، جب شام و سحر فاطمہ زہرا تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جمع کا، جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جمع کا، اس گھڑی اکبر سے زیادہ تجھے روئے. After the tragedy of Karbala, when Sayyid al-Sajjad would go pray his salah, he would always remember Hazrat Abbas. سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، تو سجاد مصلی پہ ہمیشہ تجھے روئے، بن ہاتھ کے کس طرح تو گھوڑے سے گرا تھا، بن ہاتھ کے کس طرح تو گھوڑے سے گرا تھا، یہ سن کے بہت اہل مدینہ تجھے روئے، یہ سن کے بہت اہل مدینہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس. پنجا نظر جب آ گیا ہنس کر سکینہ نے کہا، بے آب تھے بے تاب ہم، آیا علم عباس کا، سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم، آیا علم عباس کا، سر پیٹ کے عباس، مشکی بنت شاہ کا جو ہے علم سے ہے بندھا، کس شان سے اہل غم، آیا علم عباس کا، سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم، کا سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم، کا زینب نے رو رو کر کہا، نادان تو سمجھی ہے کیا، جب لا یہ سلطان امم، آیا علم عباس کا، سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم، آیا علم عباس کا، سر پیٹ کے بولے حرم، آیا عباس کا، یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس یا عباس. یا حسین یا حسین یا حسین حسین، سب مل کے بولیں حسین یا حسین یا حسین. عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے. بولو اے عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ. جب شام و سحر فاطمہ زہرا تجھے بولے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ. عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ. درا لیے پہرے پہ ستمگار کھڑا ہے، درا لیے پہرے پہ ستمگار کھڑا ہے. کیسے تیرے لاشے پہ سکینہ تجھے روئے، کیسے تیرے لاشے پہ سکینہ تجھے روئے. عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ، عباس تیرا حق ہے. جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جواں کا، جس وقت اٹھایا نہ گیا لاشا جواں کا، شہ اس گھڑی اکبر سے زیادہ تجھے روئے، شہ اس گھڑی اکبر سے زیادہ تجھے روئے. تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، اب زمانہ تجھے روئے. ابا سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، سجدے کے لیے جب لیا ہاتھوں کا سہارا، سجاد مصلی پہ ہمیشہ تجھے روئے، سجاد مصلی پہ ہمیشہ تجھے روئے. عباس تجھے روئے، عباس تیرا حق ہے زمانہ تجھے روئے، عباس زمانہ کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں سکینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں سکینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں سکینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے میں کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں سکینہ. عباس کے بازو یا بابا کا سینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے. کانوں سے چھدے گوہر، کانوں سے چھدے گوہر اور آگ تھی دامن میں، گھبرائی ہوئی بچی یہ کہتی رہی رن میں، ہے کوئی جو مجھ کو
پہنچا دے مدینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل میں سکینہ رہی ہے جنگل. رن سے علی اصغر کو لے آؤ میرے بابا، سونا نظر آتا ہے بھائی کے میرے جھولا، اصغر کے بغیر اب مجھ کو نہیں جینا، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے جنگل، ہاں کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے. یہ شام کے زندہ میں دیواروں کو تکتی ہے، کیا سوچ کے یہ جانے دن رات سے سکتی ہے، بچھڑی ہے چچا سے جب سے یہ حسینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے سکینہ، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے سکینہ. رن سے علی اصغر کو لے آؤ میرے بابا، سونا نظر آتا ہے بھائی کے میرے جھولا، اصغر کے بغیر اب مجھ کو نہیں جینا، کیا ڈھونڈ رہی ہے سکینہ ہے. وہ عابد بیمار تھا، وہ عابد تھا چلنے سے جو لاچار تھا، چلنے سے جو، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسن حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسین. شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی، شبیر کی وہ لاڈلی، سینے پہ جو شاہ کے پلی، سینے پہ جو سمجھ کے شاہ کے پلی، سینے پہ جو جس کی ابا بن میں جلی، جس کی ابا بن میں جلی، منہ پر تماچوں کے نشان، مولا مولا حق امام حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسین. وہ عسکر بے شیر تھا، وہ عسکر اور حرملا کا تیر تھا، اور حرملا پیاسا گلا کیوں کر کٹا، پیاسا گلا کیوں کر کٹا، روئی زمین اور آسمان، مولا حق امام یا حسن یا حسین، یا حسن یا حسین، مولا حق امام یا حسین یا حسین. وہ عابد بیمار تھا، وہ عابد تھا، وہ عابد بیمار تھا، وہ عابد تھا چلنا سے جو تھا، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور شام کا بازار تھا، اور مصطفیٰ کی بیٹیاں، مولا حسن یا حسین مولا حق کی ماں یا حسن یا حسین ہائے ہائے زینب ہائے ہائے شام ہائے ہائے زینب ہائے ہائے شام ہائے ہائے زینب ہائے شام ہائے ہائے زینب صلوات اللہ محمد وآل محمد سورۃ المبارکۃ الفاتحہ
السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام عليك يا ابن رسول الله. السلام عليك يا ابن وسيم. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام سيدا وسيم. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا مولاي وابن مولاي. السلام عليك يا سلطان أبا الحسن اليورذا موسى الرضا ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان. لبيك يا حسين. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد